Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
So, good morning, everybody. Good morning, Miss Nia,
Good morning.
Emma, Mas Aldo. So, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to our Global Horizon podcast. This is actually our fifth episode of the podcast, and it's a very special podcast. Why? Because this is our first offline podcast here. All right. So, we are very lucky today because we have the permission to use this amazing studio owned by the Department of PJJPAI. And then, so welcome everybody to our podcast run by the International Office of io.uinssc Cirebon. I'm the Director of International Office, and then we have two international officers with a very special guest, Miss Sirniawati. I used to call her Nia. So, how are
Yeah.
you, Nia?
Good.
Good.
Thank you very much for inviting me here. It's such a special occasion.
Thank you
talking
you
with
for
you
coming. I know you're
on
very
this
busy.
podcast.
Great. So Nia is a very special guest. Why? Because she has a very broad international experience, right? She attended Arizona State University for 3 months.
Yes, for 3 months.
When did you go there?
I think it was in 2011. That
11.
was the first time for me going abroad,
All
and
right.
I get a chance to study English, American English, for 3 months, and living with host parents, which
All right.
is American.
American.
Yes.
And then you studied something in particular at Arizona State University back
Well,
then?
actually, in the Arizona State
Yeah.
University, I follow a program called American English and Cultural Program, where international students are taught the language and also the culture of American, which
Alright.
is very interesting.
So you were in the semester 3, 4, 5 back then?
I think that was 7.
7th?
Yes.
When you were doing your scriptsy?
Yes, that's
Right.
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 I applied at the 5th semester.
The 5th semester.
Yes.
Okay. So that's very interesting. We will go back to that experience later on. And then Miss Nia also attended University of Wellington.
Victoria University of Wellington.
New
Or in
Zealand.
Maori, it's called Te Herengawaka.
Teherengawaka. It's hard
Yes.
to pronounce, right? So you went there on a scholarship called ASEAN, right?
New Zealand ASEAN
Scholarship.
Yes.
So everybody, we will talk about those particular topics, which I think are very interesting. So we will compare the experience of Miss Nia about her experience in living in US and in New Zealand in particular. And we encourage you all to have a new mindset that learning abroad is a must. Is it a must?
Yes, absolutely. I will encourage all people to experience that.
Right,
yeah,
right.
I will
And
recommend.
we are actually promoting international student mobility program for our students
That's
here
great.
at io.uinssc Cirebon. I think your insight will be very much inspiring for all of them. Nia. All right, first question, Nia. What are the key differences that you found interesting when living in US and living in New Zealand as a person, not as a student?
Okay, as a
first?
person.
Yeah.
Of course, going abroad, like like life-changing experience
Right.
that changed my life, like for a lifetime.
Yeah.
And in both countries, they have different experience that I experienced. Both of them are really new experience for me.
Yeah.
Firstly, in Arizona, that was the first time I went abroad as a student, and my English was not so fluent that time, but it's still fun. I've been there for 3 months, and I learned a lot, not only about the language, but also about the culture, how people live there, and also about myself. So I know more about myself when I step
Yeah.
out of my comfort zone.
Right. So,
It's really
so you
like-
were in your comfort zone back then.
Yeah, in
Okay,
Cirebon
in
all the
Cirebon, right,
time.
all the time.
Yeah, I can get my favorite food easily. I can go out with my friends without
Okay.
any hassles or problems.
Was there any moment when you think is actually a turning point when you think that you need to develop a new mindset there? Oh, because you have experience there, or maybe I have to do something different.
Well,
When did it happen? I mean, that
well,
turning
actually, when I
point.
went to the Arizona, it gave me new perspective that we have to be flexible, and then we see
Right.
the differences.
Right.
We just like different. There
Right,
is no
right.
right or wrong about
All right.
us.
It's flexibility matters, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And when you live in New Zealand, did you feel the same sensation that flexibility and open-mindedness are two key features of self-growth?
Okay,
instance?
well, I think living in Wellington is slightly different.
Okay.
I think because I older. I was
Alright.
older than
Okay, you grew
when I
older.
was in Arizona, so I had like different me and different experience that shaped myself. When I was in New Zealand, I felt like I was in my own home because I think the living in New Zealand really fit my personality.
Really?
I like calmness
Alright,
and
alright.
the people are
That's
very
interesting.
friendly.
Very friendly,
Yeah, very friendly, and
including
there's
to Muslims. right?
yes to Muslims, and
Okay.
also the intercultural vibrant there in the city
Okay.
of Wellington.
So you met a lot of people from different backgrounds.
Yes,
right?
that's right. Because Wellington is the capital city, probably. So we see international people there, and
Yeah.
also it's not so vibrant like in Auckland. So in New Zealand, they have two different cities for two different reasons. For example, Wellington is the capital city,
Yeah.
so it's central of the government.
Mm.
While the business, they have Auckland
Auckland.
to take care of the business thing.
All right. That's interesting when you mentioned that when you came to New Zealand, it felt like home.
Yes.
And I had the same experience too when I settled in there for the first time. And you know, once a Sufi, long time ago, said that if you go to a completely different place, a foreign one, and
Yeah.
then we felt it's like our home,
Mhm.
then it's actually a blessing.
Oh yeah, that's right.
It's actually right. Did
Right.
you
Yeah.
have this experience when you went to Newcastle?
Yeah, because when you decided to choose the country that you want to visit and live there is something like unexpected thing that you
Yeah.
never come out in your mind.
Yeah.
Right.
And when I went to Newcastle, I feel the same. I mean like I go there and feel like I think although I only go there like in 1.5 years, but it feels like
Yeah.
forever. And
Right.
the environment is really really supportive.
Right.
And
Right.
yeah, this really really
Do you feel the same experience, Emma, when you came to a university a long time ago? Do you feel like, well, it's our home?
Yeah, something. Yeah, I come from Indramayu, where is the another city next to it, Cirebon. But Cirebon feels like, yeah, I was born in Cirebon.
Oh, you were born
Actually,
here.
I was born in
Alright.
Cirebon. Yeah, it feels like my home. Then, in the future, like here, I can go back to IAIN Cirebon
As a lecturer.
as a lecturer.
All right. Yes. All right.
sometimes people say that the home is not about the place. The home
Yeah.
is about the people.
The people.
When
Yeah.
you really really close to the people around you,
Mm.
you feels like in homes.
Right. 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 So I think you were very lucky because you have so much blessings there.
Yeah.
Did you have the same experience when you were in Arizona?
Well, actually, in
Oh,
the
it's more foreign.
yeah, it's
Actually.
more foreign, and it's
More
shocking
wild?
in
Oh,
a
really?
good
All right.
in a
Shock,
good
more
way.
shocking.
In a good way, because I went in Arizona where back then Asian food are very little.
All right. Did you
Yeah.
find some halal food easily?
Well, Arizona is in the place that they have similar condition as Middle East, so many Arabian people
Okay.
there. So they
Okay.
provide halal food,
Oh.
and we have masjid in Arizona State
Right.
University because people from Middle Eastern countries, they usually study in Arizona State
Arizona.
University, and they built that masjid
All right.
in the university.
Okay.
So it's very easy, but it's Arabian food. It's
Arabian
very
food.
different from
Newcastle
Indonesian
is also rich
food.
with
With,
Arabian food, right?
Oh.
Yeah.
I live in around like Arabian village, so there's a lot of halal food.
Halal
It's
food.
like not in UK. Sometimes it's
Oh,
like
okay.
in
Middle East.
Arab streets.
Really.
So it's really easier to find Arab food than the
Right.
UK food.
Why,
And also
why
British
can't
food.
we have those Arabian food around our campus? That's a big question. Maybe we have to
I think
create
Arab-
some some projects to. All right, Nia. So let's go back a little bit to your New Zealand experience. So you went there on a scholarship, and then could you
Yes.
tell us a little bit how you actually applied for the scholarship? Did you get the information from a friend, or
Okay.
you actually found it yourself on Google, or how?
Right. Okay, so I actually will say that I am a scholarship hunter
Oh, okay.
still right now also.
Okay.
So every year I will list some scholarship that I can apply for myself to continue my study, and then I applied also to several scholarship foundation, and one of them is New Zealand ASEAN scholarship,
Okay.
and I found it very interesting because I've never heard New Zealand honestly before.
Right,
yeah.
When
Right.
you want to study in the English native countries,
Yep.
the things, the country that pop up in your mind, probably UK or the US and Australia. Yeah, and because of that scholarship that I found on the internet, so I was really interested with that country, New Zealand. New Zealand is actually a small country, very, very close to the
Antarctica.
yeah, yeah. So it's at the end, probably the end of the
Right.
world.
All right. How long did it take for you to complete the application process?
Well, actually, I finished my application for I planned my application for about 6 months.
6 months.
In that application, I took my time because I
Alright.
need to write an essay.
Yeah,
It's not just a writing contest or something like that, because you
Right,
need
it's
to
different.
it's very different. You need to pour your thought,
Yeah.
also your motivation,
Right.
so that everyone who read that can see your intention,
Right.
your motivation.
I think that's also a very interesting and challenging stage, because when we are applying to from universities, they always ask that document called expression of interest. Did you have that
Or
one too?
motivation letter.
Or motivation
Motivation
letter, right?
letter of intent.
And
Letter of
it took
intent.
time to write that kind of letter, right? Because when we were in university, no one taught us how to write the motivation letter.
Right.
So what did you write in that letter in particular?
Well, I think for every person it will be different, because it's from internal factor that will influence your
Right.
writing.
Yeah.
So I will, globally speaking,
Yeah.
actually the scholarship provider wants to know your intention, what you want to do with the scholarship, and what you already have, and what you can offer after you finish that scholarship.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I wrote that thing.
All right, all right. So could you tell us a little bit about one particular sentence that you remember most from your letter?
Well,
That must be a line that captivated the imagination of the
Okay.
committees, right?
well, I don't remember the exact sentences actually, but it says like this. So I have been interested in English
Okay.
since I was in junior high school, and I thought that it was cool to speak that language,
Yeah.
and then that thought changed when I became a teacher.
Yeah.
So I think by teaching other people that language will open many opportunities for my students
Alright.
to level up their knowledge, skills, and probably their career,
Right, right.
their future.
Right, right.
So that motivation that I will remember. So
Okay.
it's not for me, but it's for other people to open their opportunities. I think by studying English.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you still remember what did you write in the motivation
I
letter
don't
in
think so. I
particular?
remember that.
So Emma, will have to learn from
But
both of
actually,
you, right?
there is something that I really remember about the motivation is one of them is I want to give the contribution from my city. So this is one of the reason I came back
All right.
from Newcastle to Cirebon
Okay.
and
Yeah.
left all of my career in big city in Jakarta on Jabodetabek.
Oh, yeah.
So you
That's-
focus on this particular city,
Yes,
Cirebon.
Cirebon.
Right, that's interesting. So, Master Rivaldo has this local-minded, global but local-minded attitude, and then Nia has this self-empowering motive for getting scholarship. And personally, in my case, there is one line that I remember most. I think it's a bit similar to what you have written in your letter. I wrote there, I want to engage in innovative research project where English can be learned by so many people
Right.
at all levels, because you know there are only probably less than 10% of our people in Indonesia who can speak English well, right?
Right.
We want to have more people here in our country to speak and write more, because once we have this question, Lala, do you speak English? Well, they actually ask whether or not we are fluent in English, right? So we need to reach certain level of proficiency. And I think we are very aware that English is only learned by a small percentage of people, right?
Yeah,
Because
correct.
if you go to English classes, they are
Yeah.
very expensive,
Right.
right? And then we need to create new technologies, new pedagogies, where English can be learned by many people without
Right.
memorizing grammar,
Right.
and then at the lowest cost, if possible. All right. So yes, you got a scholarship, and then when did you fly to New Zealand? Do you still remember?
Yeah, it was in March
March
2016.
2016. All right. And then so you studied what is it? The name of the course?
Masters of Arts in TESOL.
All right.
Yeah,
so
I went to School of Linguistic and Applied Languages
Right.
at Victoria University,
Okay.
Wellington.
What was the most interesting course that you took there? Is it phonology or something
I think
else?
almost all I like, because I
Alright.
need that for my own professional development.
Okay.
But there is one thing that make the courses in Victoria, especially the Master of Arts in TESOL, different from others,
Alright.
is the social sciences that
Mm.
bring they want to bring justice to all English language learners.
Oh, very interesting.
Especially non-native speakers, both
Alright.
teachers and also students, because
Alright.
they, according to them, according to the researcher, my professor, many people who want to learn or teach English still find social injustice because they are non-native speakers.
Right.
Yeah.
And how do you translate that now into your professional practice?
Well, actually, for my student, it's I will remind them that the language that we use is ours. It's actually our vehicle of communication.
Yeah.
Well, actually, in the language there is cultural or social that attached to it, but think that you are the source of information, the source of something that you need to communicate with others, and you have the same level with others.
I think we can actually translate that into a broader perspective when I work on policy, pedagogy, curriculum,
Right.
and assessment. We never actually talk about justice,
Okay.
right? Because in traditional learning approaches,
Mhm.
assessment, the summative assessment, for instance, can only work for some elite students.
Oh, okay.
People who are not good at memorizing skills, because
Right.
we actually learn by exploration, not by memorizing, they will not survive in that environment. Emma is, I think you did your thesis on peer assessment.
assessment.
And
Okay.
I urge her to go deeper into the level of assessment where formative assessment should be the driving force
Mhm.
of, let's say, holistic assessment. I
Right.
think in business we also talk about justice, right? We could actually boost people mindsets about policy and justice, curriculum and
Right,
justice,
right.
pedagogy and justice, assessment and
Right.
justice. All right, very interesting here. So, when you returned to Indonesia, what did you do for the very first time? Because you have that very broad knowledge about language and justice and TESOL world.
Oh, well, actually, I reached out to Mr. Ilman,
Right,
who
right.
was my
He was your supervisor.
study advisor.
Oh, all right. PA, right?
When I was in undergraduate degree here in EIN, and I also contacted Mr. Wahid,
Right.
and yeah, Mr. Wahid then suggested me to come back here
Yep.
and teaching here. Actually, with that, so many experience and also perspective that I got from Victoria University of Wellington, I really want to make something different. So,
Right.
yeah, I thought I want to teach English because the experience, like when I became a lecturer, I want to also experience teaching the English, so not just doing research or something like
Right.
that. So I feel by myself what I learned. So when I came to Indonesia, returned back to Indonesia, I want to close the gap
Right.
between the knowledge that I got from the Victoria University
Yeah,
of Wellington
yeah.
and the reality of the English teaching language here,
Right, right.
especially for EIN Sirniawati student or Cirebon
Okay.
students.
And you are still teaching here, right?
Yes.
All right. So Nia is also an English language instructor at our Pusat Bahasa. So for your information, everybody, so Nia and Mr. Rivaldo are colleagues at a private university here in Cirebon, and then Emma and Nia are colleagues here too. So before the podcast, we talk about that. So it's actually good to have this podcast because we are developing a small but intelligent circle, right?
Right.
So when you talk about justice, that's very interesting. When I was doing my undergrad degree, I read a lot about justice. But then in many international conferences, yes, some of the conferences talk about well-being, but
Okay.
not about justice.
Right.
In today's globalized world, where there is actually a widening gap between the rich and the poor,
Yeah.
where do you think justice rests now in our education system? Does
Well,
our curriculum promote justice?
It's really difficult to say or to comment about that
All right.
because where injustice happen, well, actually, to overcome that, it should go hand in hand with the policy, like you
Right.
said before.
Right.
Because as a like normal citizen like me, if I talk or voice myself about injustice that happens,
Yeah.
it will have no effect if there is no policy to support that.
All right. All right. Do you in particular read or discuss policy-related affairs in relation to justice, social justice, right now?
Oh, not, but in particular in English language teaching because it's also closely related to psychological science,
Right.
where people that face injustice will feel more anxious
Yeah.
in learning
Yeah.
or something like that. So it also affect their mental health.
All right. All right. So we can actually address the well-being aspects, or maybe we can have another podcast or any
Oh, wow,
more workshop
that's
sessions on that.
interesting.
All right. Now, Emma, questions? I think you have a lot of questions
Well,
on
I'm
your
ready.
tablet.
Okay. Well, I want to ask you about your unique cultural experience there in Wellington.
In Wellington.
You said that there are so many Arabic people, like
Mm.
Middle
Middle Eastern.
Middle Eastern people there in New Zealand. Do you have any unique experience with them?
Okay. For the unique experience, I experienced in Arizona State University actually.
Okay.
It's maybe because Indonesia is not so popular, or maybe the people know nothing about Indonesia.
Alright.
I went there in October, where at the end of that month, people usually celebrate Halloween.
Right.
And I went to the university wearing my hijab as a Muslim, right?
Okay.
And then one of the students said to me, "Why you wearing Halloween costume so early? It's not Halloween already." No, I'm not. I'm a Muslim, and this is not Halloween costume. So that's actually surprising because yeah, that's why I need to change my perspective. So not everyone will know everything.
Yeah.
We just need to get to know each other. So
Right.
yeah,
That's very interesting.
that's a very interesting moment and experience.
Alright, very interesting. No more questions on the list?
Do you have any friends from Indonesia back then when you study in Wellington?
In Wellington, well, actually a lot of Indonesian students, but I avoid to have as little as possible interaction with Indonesian people, because I really want to deepen my experience there. So, well, actually, I met Indonesian people, and I have a friend from
Right,
Indonesia, of course, because we are just like family. When we went abroad and we met Indonesians,
that's
we just like family. So, I need to again step out of my comfort zone and making friends with other people not from my own country.
Yep.
So, I went to masjid. My passion is getting knowledge, Islamic knowledge, and I joined the Islamic community at masjid, and I went there. I met many people, not only local or New Zealand people from Malaysia, Muslim from Malaysia, and also I make friends with Muslim from the US as well, and
Right.
until now we still keep in touch.
Great, great.
Yeah,
Okay.
and that's very nice.
Did you attend some pengajian?
Yes, we always have pengajian every week in the masjid.
All right.
Yes.
How about you? You
Yeah,
also?
every week also.
Every week. Oh,
Yeah,
very
and
interesting.
the good thing is we have free food there in the
Free
masjid.
food.
Yes. yeah.
Great, great. All right. So you said that you find every course in New Zealand very interesting, right?
Yeah.
Is there any one particular subject that you like most, and then you keep that in your memory, so you read and you expand the knowledge from the subject into a bigger detail, small detail?
Small detail.
Like I was very interested in rhythm, right? So
Okay.
I feel that I have to expand knowledge on rhythm. So I keep reading The Secret of Human Rhythm as
Okay.
a meaning-making mechanism in human body. So
Right.
I think that's what I'm doing. How about you?
Well, for me, because I have been dealing with the theory, language teaching theory and method during my course,
Yeah.
my teaching here. Well, it's really hard to say one thing that really interesting. Let me think. What is
I mean,
it?
did you change your mindset, or you want to go ahead with any existing theories or preoccupied knowledge that are available on the literature? Because I tend to move away from
Okay.
the references that I developed when I was in the undergraduate
Okay.
and my master's
Okay.
degree.
Right.
Well, did you have the same experience?
Well, actually, the thing that I am interested in is, just I said before, it's about the social effect that is attached to the English language. Yeah. So we have the identity, the social identity with that language. We have also have imagined community.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then something deal with the people socially.
All right.
especially immigrant, for example.
All right.
Yeah.
And do you guys have this imagination where someday half of the population of Ciayu Majakuning people will speak English fluently, because now we are going to have the new airport where
Oh, okay.
foreigners will come to our
Right.
cities. And in your case, how will you promote an improved English language teaching practice here in our city? Because I think all of us love our city, right? And we love the people here.
Yeah.
So one of the best ways to show our love is that we
Right.
can provide the best curriculum, the best pedagogy of ELT here
Right.
in our city. What do you think?
Well, that's great actually, because we will have a new airport
Right.
here, and also the infrastructure where people can transport easily
Right.
from one place to another place
Yeah.
here, and we will expect foreigner maybe
Right.
or other people
Yeah.
from different places coming here, especially people from abroad. So English must be the basic thing that the people here have. So they it's not only the language but also the hospitality, the
Hospitality.
culture
Alright.
thing that we should have, so that we can open ourselves to accept or to welcome other people.
All right. All right. Emma, any ideas how can you promote and improve English language teaching here in our city?
Yeah, I think that people here nowadays use English as their daily basis because they use social media.
Yeah.
They also learn English from social media. Like I saw that a TikTok content creator in Jakarta now he's a young people that he's a son, and he come to a mall and then he
Ask random
asks
people.
random people like English question,
Oh, that's nice.
and people startly using English as daily communication. I
Okay.
think that
Can we do
Cirebon
the same
people-
thing here in our
Well,
city?
that's interesting, because the motivation comes from the inside of the people,
Right.
not from outside. For example, for the curriculum,
Yes.
because it's like a sad thing. We have English compulsory subject here in
Right.
Indonesia since elementary school.
But they don't actually
Yeah,
speak English.
yeah, that's very sad.
Okay. Okay. Well, how about you, Mas Aldo?
I think in my classes I always teach my student with like mostly English subject.
Yeah.
No, not English subject. I mean like I always use English term in my
Okay.
classes, like in marketing, business, or entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Sometimes my students ask, why you sir always say in English? And I just want to you all understand that we can learn something or subject, every subject is more broader with the English. I mean,
Yes.
when you say marketing in Indonesia, it's like pemasaran.
Pemasaran.
It's like a small thing.
Right.
Compared to English, marketing is really broad.
Yeah.
So
Right. Right.
I always encourage my student to learn in English,
All right.
something like
I
that.
think what you are teaching to your students is you want them to develop a better sense of the language,
Yeah.
right? Because curriculum means nothing if we ourselves don't create our flavor of the language, right? And actually, English skills cannot be taught. It has to be experienced, right? I think we want to enrich the experiences of the students. All right. Do you have a future plan to pursue your PhD
Yeah,
in
of
the near
course.
future? Is it New Zealand again, or you want to go somewhere else?
Well, yeah, somewhere else probably, because I have experience studying in the US and in
Okay.
New Zealand. I think I will take another country. I hope that I have an opportunity to do my PhD in the UK, for
In the UK.
example.
London or Edinburgh?
No.
Or Belfast?
Probably Edinburgh.
Edinburgh. All right, very close
It's
to
one of
Newcastle.
my top university that I want to.
Right.
Yeah, but
Very
at
good shape.
the end of the day, Allah will choose for
Yeah.
me.
Right.
Like what I did in my master's degree. I
Okay.
really wanted to study at Columbia University
Yeah.
initially in
Right.
the US,
Yes.
New York, but then Allah has chosen the best place for me,
Right,
which is
right.
in New Zealand.
New Zealand.
Yeah.
Right. Edinburgh is very interesting university, right?
Yeah.
And I think they have that research and innovation center in Europe. I once watched the video; it was very interesting. All right, Nia, will you tell our audience, I mean students, mostly students, about the importance of going abroad, studying abroad, changing your mindset, because we need to encourage them in doing so. I mean, yeah, they go to our classes, they go to ELT classes, we
Right.
talk with them in English, we show them nice references,
Right.
but if they don't develop a growth mindset, I mean, yeah, I think Allah has clearly mentioned that Musafir is given advantages, right?
Yes.
Okay. I think when we go abroad, there are blessings, a lot of blessings there. So what is your
Yes.
last message to our audience, especially to students who are still afraid of going abroad? Because I always urge my students to have a passport at the end of the course.
Okay.
Right? Yes.
Right. My message is you should try something new at least once going abroad. It's not traveling. But try to live in another country. It's life-changing experience.
Right.
You should experience it at least once in your lifetime, because it's not only knowing about something else that you haven't experienced before, it's also knowing deeper and more about yourself and
Yeah.
your country. The love for your country will grow
Yeah.
if you live abroad.
Very interesting. Very interesting. So Nia, thank you very much again for coming to our podcast.
Thank you very much
I
for
hope
having
that
me.
this is not your first and final talk with
I
us.
hope so.
Right.
Looking forward to another podcast.
All right, very, very interesting. Okay, everybody, so the conclusion of today's podcast is, so never hesitate to go abroad, because it's a life-changing experience. You have to grow, and then we have to grow, and then we need to develop a new mindset in life. Thank you again, everybody, for watching the podcast. We hope to see you again in our next episode. Thank you, Nia, Emma, and Mas Aldo. Alright, see ya, everybody. Bye.
Thank you.
Assalamualaikum
Bye.
warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.